Alfonso.
Hey, Alfonso, how are you?
You're
looking awfully
such a
cushy.
handsome fella.
Yes, my Alfonso pillow. Huh?
Does that go everywhere with you?
It goes nowhere with me. They sent it because I'm going to give it out to someone at the end of this interview. At least that's what I think I'm going to do. I wonder if they know that.
Mr. Alfonso Ribeiro, you joined as the host of America's Funniest Home Videos, a show that has been on a astounding 26 seasons.
Yes, this is we're just wrapping up our 26th season on the show. It's quite amazing, to be part of this show. It's a show that I've watched, obviously, as a kid, or I should say a young man. I wasn't a kid then. Felt like a kid. But I was a young man, and then when I started having a family, and I've got my daughter, and she's 13 years old now, and we started watching, when Tom Bergeron was on, and it's just a fun show. It's a show that you can sit down with your family, relax. You don't have to think. You're going to laugh, and there are very few shows on TV that I think you laugh at anymore, without it being something you have to think about, right? This is just fun. And it's safe fun for the entire family. You can sit with your grandparents, your parents, your kids. It works with anyone, and you can find a camaraderie amongst your family while watching the show. So it's great fun for me.
And I saw an interview with you earlier where you said that having been on what you consider the last real safe family sitcom, The Fresh Prince of BelAir, this is what...
Thank you. Thanks.
The kind of show, and I think what you meant, if you would allow me to extrapolate what I think you meant, is that you don't have uncomfortable conversations with kids. Like, no one's going to ask you, Daddy, what is that sex joke?
Yes.
And is this specifically what appealed to you about hosting America's Funniest Home Videos?
It's absolutely what got the ball rolling, what got me thinking about the show. The fact that, I like to watch TV sometimes by myself, but I think the problem with it is that sometimes when we do that, we're actually closing ourselves off. And I think with all of, social media and how we utilize our phones and our computers these days, we spend less time communicating. We're not actually talking to each other anymore. You see people in restaurants all the time where their heads are right here, and it's like, why don't you all put your phones down and talk to each other, right? And I feel the same way with TV. It feels like everything is for the individual and not for the group. How many shows, they talk about it years ago, the water cooler shows, right? Where you go to work the next day and everybody stands around the water cooler talking about what happened the night before. Well, imagine you can do that in your house, where you can actually talk to the people you live with and the closest to you and talk about the funny things that are happening. On AFE, that's what you're not really talking about it. You're just like, oh my God, that was so awesome. I love it when people do that. Or I love it when the babies do that. Or I love it when the dogs do that. Whatever it might be, you can actually share that with your entire family. And Fresh Prince was that. Fresh Prince was a show that, no matter what age you were, you could sit and watch, and don't get me wrong, we pushed the envelope every once in a while, but it wasn't like you knew that each week you were going to see something that you had to explain to your kids. And I just think that that's important. I think we've lost some of our family values, and it's nice to be on a show that we're certainly not preaching any values, because jumping off of a roof and crashing into the snow is not necessarily value.
Yeah,
but
no.
But it's nice to be able to sit together, especially on a Sunday night before getting ready to start a full work week or school week, what have you.
And I have to say, I've been covering entertainment for a while, a minute or two, and shows come and go so quickly now, and especially hosts of shows come and go so quickly. And this show, in addition to being on for the astounding 26 seasons, has also had a very small handful of hosts.
Yes, yeah. You have Bob Saget, Tom Bergeron, and then there was one year where they had a couple of other people do it together, and they didn't like the way that worked out. So that's when Tom came onto the show, and now me. To be part of that illustrious group is such an honor. I believe, for me, Tom Bergeron is the best host on TV. I feel like what he does so well is perfect for hosting, which is he talks. He just talks, and he makes the dialogue sound like it's truly coming from him, and he can have fun with it, and he does a great job of that. And I've kind of watched what he's done over the years, and trying to certainly not mimic what he's doing, but to try to do my own version of that.
So was it daunting replacing him? I mean, what went through your head when you got the offer?
I look at everything half full. I've always been that guy. I've never looked at any circumstance and say, oh my God, well, what if they don't like me? Well, and if they don't, they don't, right? You can't control what anybody else does or thinks, right? So all you can do is do you. And I'm not afraid of any circumstance. So going into this, it was never any negative thoughts. It was always, all right, let's go do what we do. Let's go do the best we can. Let's have fun doing it. And I have always felt like if I'm having fun, I think people will have fun with me. And I'm having a blast doing it, and I'm hoping that people are having a blast with me.
What is your hosting style like? If you had to kind of describe it in a resume format, how would you describe it?
Well, I think, that's evolving. And I think because I'm learning even still on AFV how to become a better host, I have a lot of energy typically. And sometimes I've got to, contain that energy a little bit. And I'm learning how to do that better to where my style is simply, charismatic, fun, gonna be silly at times, but can bring home information when necessary. And so, but I'd have to say, if there was one word, it'd be fun. My hosting style would be fun.
I mean, this job does seem like you're getting paid to have a really good time.
Yeah.
In summary.
It is. And it's great.
What videos don't make you laugh?
I don't know if there's a non-funny videos. For me, I kind of love them all, really. I mean, I'm starting to find, when I came into the show, I was all about epic fails, right? So when somebody does something they shouldn't do and they crash and burn, to me, that was the number one type of video that I wanted to watch. But as I've gotten more comfortable on the show and watched more videos, I'm really starting to love the animal videos, right? And I'm starting to love when kids do funny, crazy things, because I have kids, and I'm starting to see my kids do funny, crazy things, and we're always, because I'm not a, keep my phone on me all the time person, we never seem to get the phone quick enough to actually shoot my kids. So I'm constantly like, oh, I missed that. Oh, I could use it for the show. Now I'm only thinking business. I wouldn't think of it because I want to keep it. I was like, we could make some money on that. I could win $10,000. Oh no, I'm part of the show.
College. They can pay for their own college.
Yeah, I can't win. But I'm really starting to love them all. They're really kind of fun for me, and I'll probably eventually, and hopefully, if the show goes on long enough, I'll get to that point where I really do know the answer to that question. Where am I like, I don't like cat videos.
Well, no, I was just more curious too. If you see a video and you inherently know that it's like, eh.
Well, I don't
like
what I
mean?
things
it's just
that
tasteless.
I don't like videos that ick me out, right? Like we did a segment on the show where we asked people to send in their hairless cat videos, right? And there's something really nasty to me about a hairless cat, right? Like it's just, you see them, they're real skinny, they're wiry, and it's like, ugh.
And it looks like they're giving you the side eye at all times, right? Yeah, exactly.
Like it really, the faces, they're not pretty without hair. So like we did that, and I was like, I'm not with y'all.
Now, can you tell instantly if something has been faked or staged?
I'm able to tell. I mean, I only see the videos we choose. So it's like the videos we choose typically are good videos. So I'm not seeing the ones that would
Waded
be obvious,
through
right? There are some ones where you go, all right, they planned that, but it might not have turned out the way they wanted it or whatever. But you can kind of see the ones where people set out to do stuff. But we also do a segment on a show called Assignment America where we tell them to go do those videos too. So we acknowledge that sometimes these videos are planned out. It still makes them funny when at least they achieve the goal.
My favorite videos are the ones where the kid is doing something completely bonkers that could end horrifically, and the parent just still keeps taping.
That kills me.
I'm like,
That
don't
kills
you?
me.
Did
Like,
you have no instinct to intervene and
none.
stop?
None. The parents are like, yeah, but we can win $10,000. We'll fix that eye. We'll fix that eye later.
Look at that kid standing on his crib on one leg about to fly. Go,
You're
go.
like, stop. But we like it. It's good for our show.
Now, has this turned you into a super videographer at home?
I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I forget to pick up my phone to shoot the kids or shoot people because I'm just not, like, it's not attached to me. Like, I am a guy who, when I go home, I turn work off, right? So it's like, it's all about, being at work. Work is outside of the house. I walk in the door. I might have to make a couple of emails, and handle business. And then once I'm done, I put all the electronics away and I'm home. And I feel like, for me, it's so important because, when you have a teenager, like my 13-year-old, she gets it, right? She's on her phone all the time anyway. But my 2-year-old and my 11-month-old, like, they don't know and they don't understand. They just want you there, right? When they do something silly or funny, they just want you to be there. And so for me, that's what I try to do the moment I walk in the door, done with my work. It's all about work. So the phone is never on me when that happens.
Okay, no, really, though, how did you cut the phone cord?
You just do it. You just do it. Like, for me, I recognize what's most important for me and my family. And I feel like, they allow me to do what I do, right? They support me in doing what I do. And I've got to give back to them in the best way that I can. And I feel like being there, just being present, right? Most of the time, we as parents sometimes forget that just being in the room doesn't mean you're being present, right? You have to actually be engaging, and it's wonderful. These trips when I come to New York and I have to do publicity trips or I work somewhere, my son has such a hard time. He wakes up in the morning and he looks for daddy immediately. That's the first thing he does. And then when he doesn't see me, he has a bad day, right? And so it's tough for my wife because she knows that when I'm gone, she's going to have really tough days, and we try to, when he wakes up, like probably right after this, he'll be waking up in LA, and I'll jump on and FaceTime with him and just kind of so that he has a better day. Last night, I was, at the hotel, and my wife called me and FaceTime. She's like, AJ is having a tough afternoon. Can you just talk to him? And so turn me to him. I talk to him for a little bit. He settles back down and starts to have a good evening. So I really feel like it's important. You've got to choose what's important to you. And when you make the choice, you just stick with it.
No wonder you looked so bummed in that Instagram picture when you said that you're flying.
Yeah, because I know what we were going to go through. I knew that I know that my wife was going to have a tough week, and it's tough to leave your family. I try to fly with my family whenever possible. We go somewhere. I've got a huge golf trip coming up in May where I'm going to the Players, and then I'm playing golf in the BMW Championship for the web.com. I'm taking the whole family, right? And just like we might be in a room all close together, all of us together sleeping in one bed. But I'm like, I'd rather be in a tight bed with 4 of us sleeping where I get about 3 inches and I gotta sleep sideways because if I lay flat, I'm taking up too much room. I'd rather do that than miss them.
Oh, now you're getting me all emotional.
Girl, don't you cry on me. Don't you cry on me.
I won't cry. I won't cry, I promise. Oh.
Okay, so the next question.
Just doing the ugly cry. What is your favorite thing to do as a family?
Disney. Disney. I'll tell a very quick story. We got so lucky. In our final episode of AFV, we shoot a couple segments at Disneyland. And so my kids love the Cars movies. And in my segment that we shoot, I shoot with Lightning McQueen and Mater. My son thought of me as the coolest dude on the planet that day. Because he sat there and he was like, "You know Lightning?" right? Like and he's looking at me, and he's seeing lightning, and I'm talking to lightning, and lightning's talking back, and he's like, what? Right? And so, later on, we were back in the hotel room, and he was, and we put on the movie, and he was like, Dad. And it was lightning, because it was like, there's your friend, right? It's so cool to be able to do that with your kids. Obviously, I have a very different experience, working and being part of the ABC Disney family. But, being able to go and see your kids recognizing the movies and the characters that they love to watch every day, seeing it and seeing Disneyland and Disney World through your kids' eyes is fantastic. And we were lucky enough to get this thing called the Dream Suite.
Which is?
Awesome.
Please do elaborate on the Dream Suite.
The Dream Suite is above Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh. And you can stay the night in the park. And it's only invited guests. And I did something for Disney, and I won that as a prize. So my family and I spent the night in the Dream Suite, and we invited Steve Young, the footballer, and his family, and we stayed in the park and toured the park after midnight when everybody was gone. We're doing like leap kicks on, Main Street and going to see all the rides while nobody was in the park. So cool.
Okay, can I get my jaw off the floor?
It was amazing. So to answer your question, that's the most fun we have as a family, is when we get to go do some of the Disney stuff.
See, I thought I had cool mom points, but you got me. You're like in a whole different echelon.
Listen, I'm like the I've been in this business for almost 37 years now, and that's the coolest thing I've ever done. like of all the cool things in my life, I was like, I'm staying at Disneyland.
I mean,
no, not in the hotel. I ain't at the Disneyland Hotel. I'm not the Grand Californian. I'm staying in Disneyland. And the room is amazing. They got a fireplace where you got the fire coming, and then all of a sudden, you got fireworks.
Okay, stop now. Just stop.
Fireworks in the fireplace.
Now he's going to say, like, mermaids swim in the pool.
Well, they swim in a picture, though. Very cool stuff. It was awesome.
But aside from that, you also play golf with Justin Timberlake, yes.
Yeah.
I think we've heard of Justin Timberlake here.
Y'all heard of him.
A little bit.
Kind of a singer.
And you guys did the Carlton dance together.
Yes. We've done it now at two different tournaments. There's two tournaments that we play in basically together every year, and it's the American Century Championship up in Lake Tahoe for NBC Sports, and then we played in the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am up in Pebble Beach. And so what'll happen is Justin Timberlake has the power to say, I want to play with Alfonso, right? Alfonso says, I want to play. See, I just want to, can I play in your tournament? Yes. Justin Timberlake says, I want to play with Alfonso. Because we play all the time. We're members of the same club. We play all the time. Our kids are now friends. Jess and my wife, Angela, they have like a mommy, group, and they hang out. And so it's nice. I mean, it's when you're going to go into competition, it's wonderful to have somebody that you're going to have a great time with. And we always have a great time on the golf course. We play all the time anyway. So it just kind of makes when you're able to take practice to the actual tournament, it works because we actually vibe off of each other really well. So we typically play better when we play together. So that's better
when we play together. Nicely said.
That's why he says that, because I don't have that kind of power.
Who's more competitive?
I think we're really close. I would probably say me. I'm probably one of the most competitive people I know. He's competitive, don't get me wrong, but I think I'm a bit more competitive. I go a little cray-cray. Really? Yeah, just a little cray-cray, just a little bit. The thing is, and I say this all the time, and I get in trouble for it all the time, I say, second place is the first loser. Right? Like, I live my life by that rule, right? Where that concept. In my business, one person gets the job. Everybody else loses the job. So it doesn't matter whether you're the second best or the 85th best. You still lost the job. You ain't working that next day, and only one guy is. And so I have always viewed it that way, and I view life that way, because you have to simply be the best, or it doesn't matter. So, I see all of these kids, and they play sports, and, they get, like, participation trophies. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
At all.
At all. I can't find the positive in it, right? Like, I can't see how that's a good thing in any way. Like, you can't express it to me and me go, now I see it. Because I'm like, all you're doing is rewarding someone for participating. Isn't the participation the reward? Right? Like, you got to do it.
I completely agree.
Right? So if your parents signed you up for gymnastics, you got to go do gymnastics. You could have been the kid who didn't even get to go do gymnastics. So your participation is the trophy. So getting a trophy to show it is weird to me. I will say it like this, it's kind of like autographs for me, right? Autographs for me don't make sense, right? Because somebody says, hey, I want you to sign this real quick. I'm like, it's a napkin. What are you going to do with that napkin? That napkin is going to end up in a garbage can at some point, right? It's proof to show other people that the experience you just had happened. My thing is that the experience just happened. Hey, just walk up and say, hey, man, how you doing? Can I shake your hand? Yes, nice to meet you. Awesome. Done. That's personal. That's something you get to keep with you forever. You don't have to prove it to anybody else because it's yours. I view that sports the same way. I view, it's yours. That's what you get to keep. You get to keep the memory of it. And that's more important than some trophy or something that you're going to show to other people to prove that your memory is real.
But that being said, when you went on Dancing with the Stars, you went in to win.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah.
And you did.
Well, I'm not going to say it with such cockiness, but yeah. I did win, but I didn't win because I was supposed to win.
You worked really, really, really hard.
I worked, in my opinion, harder than anybody else that season. I had dinner with Whitney here in New York this week, and we laughed about it a little bit because I said, remember the first day I met you, right? And we walk into the studio, and I realized that you're going to be my pro, and that's awesome. And then we did all the interview stuff, and then they were like, okay, we're done with the cameras. And we were like, and she was like, okay, cool. So tomorrow, and I went, what you mean tomorrow? We got 3.5 more hours here. Why am I going home? She's like, well, the first day is typically just you meet the people and you do all the camera work, and then you come back the next day and you really do rehearsal. I'm like, no, it says we can rehearse for 4 hours. We've got 3.5 more hours. Let's go to work. Let's start rehearsing today. And the reason why, and I did this concept and I expressed it to people at one point, I said, think about if you were going to learn a dance, right? And you're going to go to dance class for 6 months, right? Do you think you could learn a dance, go into dance class 1 hour a week for 6 months? Could you learn the dance? And most people would be like, yeah, I think I'd be okay, right, in 6 months of taking dance class, right?
You could learn it enough to not embarrass yourself,
right,
probably.
you could learn it, right? Well, that's 1 week on Dancing with the Stars. Because you're rehearsing 5 hours a day for 6 days a week, and then you got the 7th day where you shoot the show. So in my mind, I look at every week on that show as 6 months. You take a month off, that's a huge percentage of the time in terms of the work you get to put in. I would rehearse 5 hours a day, and then I would go home and rehearse 2 more. And I would be in my living room doing the steps over and over again, right? And I even, like all my ballroom-style dances, I figured out that if I pick up my kid and hold him while keeping myself in the hold, but using the weight of him as I'm holding him, will build up my arm muscle so that I could maintain the structure for the whole routine.
That is so cool. And you got bonding time with your kid.
Yeah, my kid loves it. He dances like this, by the way, now. Whenever we're dancing, he's like, look, Dad. And I'm like, yo, put your arm down. He's like, no, I'm good. because I held them like this and danced with them for, hours every night. And so to me, it was coming up with concepts, coming up with ideas, and just outworking everyone. I would get on stage, and the first day I would get on stage with each dance, I would walk on there and I would look around the ballroom and I would go, okay, so during this period of the dance, I'm going to look right there. And then in this period of dance, I would look right here. And then I created specific places that my eyes were going to look at so that I could rehearse that. Because what happens is you get there on the night, you look into someone's eyes, and they might have a look on their face that takes you out of your moment, right? They might be like, or... right? And you're out of your moment. So I needed to like literally figure out where I was going to look. This is the kind of detail that I put into every performance. And so I took this really seriously. I mean, I turned down all kinds of work, all types of opportunities. I was like, no, I'm going to do my all and see what happens. And I just, I think there were some amazing people that my season, but I feel like I just outworked them.
Amen. Seriously.
And my son dances like this.
Your son has to be like prom king at some point. I mean, because he's already ready for the dance.
Well, he already knows, second place is first loser, so he's got to be king.
And now
he can't just go to the prom. He's got to be
the king. That's why I just said the prom king. I didn't say the prom court.
I know. I feel you. I'm with you.
We have a question right here from our audience.
Hello. How are you?
Good.
I wanted to ask you, I know you said you don't walk around with your video camera or anything like that, but are there any moments you recall that you wish you could have recorded and put it on America's Funniest Video?
There's moments all the time that I wish that my kids do dumb stuff all day long that would probably make the show, if not for the dumb stuff, but for the cute things. Sometimes some of those videos that we have is just like, videos too. And so there's moments like that I wish I would have had, but I don't.
Hey, Alfonso, good afternoon.
Good, man.
First of all, awesome pillow. Best pillow I've ever seen. As much as I want to ask you to do some epic dance moves right now, it's still a little bit too early. So I am curious, though. I know Will Smith sat out on the Oscars this year. I'd like to know your thoughts on that.
I think that I try not to get political. I obviously feel like award shows are stupid as a whole, right? You're giving someone, I don't like the idea of giving awards to people or giving, medals to people for stuff that you should do. You go in and you do the best work you can all the time. Personally, to me, it's like, I don't think they should give you an award. They should give you an extra check, right? Like, that's a real award, right? Like, okay, I got this trophy, yes, to prove to other people that I was a good actor. Or I got a bank account that I could actually spend and enjoy the money. That's my feelings. In terms of the other side of it is, unfortunately, the Oscars isn't really about awards. It's about business, right? It's about a individual who will do a movie, and because he wins that award, he can now charge millions more for his work because he won an award literally the next day. He is no better actor than he was the day before. He's not going to have more people come and sit in the movie theater than the day before, but he gets to then say to the studios, you need to pay me $3 million more, $4 million more. So it's not about winning an award, it's about the business of it all and how that affects other people's lives. And if there are people who are not clearly giving everybody equal opportunity to win those awards, that's a problem. I spoke with a very good friend of mine who was a media guy at Universal, and they had Straight Outta Compton. And he said to me, he goes, best movie of the year. Won't win anything. He's like, because, and he's an older white guy, and he said, because old white guys like me that are part of the Academy are not going to sit down and watch this movie. Even if they're told to do it, they're not going to watch it. And if they did, they wouldn't know the difference between a young black kid doing a great job in a movie or not. So the information, the person making those choices they're not part of us. They're not part of the everyday world that are making movies today, and that's the problem. The boycott wasn't saying that black people should be awarded. It's that we've got to change the system for a financial reason, for the real business of it all, right? And I thought Will did a great job. Did I think that, of course, when Jada comes out and says that, it sounds like sour grapes? And I get all of that. And would that have happened if he'd have been nominated? Maybe, maybe not. Once it did happen, let's try to find the good in it, and let's try to find what the answer is. And that is, yes, we need to reassess the Academy and how they go about making their choices.
And on a related note, Keith Carradine was here, and he said the Oscars should be given out to actors who all play the same role. That's how you measure. If he said, like, if you're going to measure how well someone acted, then they all should be acting the same part.
Absolutely. How can you say, because by the way, that role might have been written differently? Like, I mean, look, I think Leonardo DiCaprio was wonderful. He's a fantastic actor. But that wasn't Leonardo's best work. Right? Like, I don't know a lot of us that would say, oh, no, that was absolutely the best work Leonardo has ever done, and he should win an award for it. He won an award for a body of work, right? And he deserved it. Don't get me wrong. I think he's fantastic. So I'm not saying he should not have won the award, but it wasn't even his best performance. It might have been better than the performances that were nominated against him, but it wasn't even his best. So it's this moving scale that we're kind of making judgment calls, right? It's why I love sports. It's real clear. I score more points than you, I win.
You got the touchdown, you won.
If I pass that line, I get 7 points. We good, right? I love the reality of it all versus, you got gymnastics and ice skating and entertainment where, it's like, a judge has an opinion. He closed his eyes. He looked the other way, or she looked the other way when, a mistake was made. It's subjective things to me. I have a problem when it means so much.
And we have time for one more question, please.
Hi, Alfonso. Is there any chance that we'll see the Fresh Prince reunion episodes like Full House? And also, if I do the Carlton dance, can I have that pillow?
I would have to say no. And not on the pillow thing, but on the Fresh Prince reunion TV show, for several reasons. One, I think we did amazing work when we shot the show, and I feel like all we can do now is mess that up. Right? I don't think we can do a better version of Fresh Prince of BelAir today than we did then. So you're only going to tarnish your image by doing it. The other side of that is we left the show. We stopped doing it because Will and the rest of us agreed with it, said, I don't think we can tell these stories better. So right now we're regurgitating old stories and doing them a different way, but not better than the first way we did it. So why do that? Let's just end on a high, right? And then the third part of that would be we've lost James Avery. And Avery was the backbone for this show. He allowed Carlton and Will to do all kinds of craziness, right? Knowing that there was a price to pay when Uncle Phil found out. Without Uncle Phil, what do you have? You have two people doing what? Like, what would the show be without James Avery? And I feel like it would be irresponsible of us to do that for our own financial gain today.
That's a great answer. But before we applaud, Mr. Alfonso.
Yes.
When can we see America's Funniest Home Videos?
You can watch America's Funniest Home Videos every Sunday night at 7, 6 Central on ABC.
You heard it here, people. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.